Alright, so this video is going to be, um, I'm going to be talking about what I did in the third week. So for the third week, I set up the minigame one game mode. In setting up setting up the first minigame's game mode, I set up an interface for all future game modes. This is similar to what I did for uh, the player interface and the um, animation controller interface. So I did the interface for all of the game modes now and in the future in C++. So um, basically, I just set up all of the events that all game modes would have. So uh, resetting the downs, setting it to the next down, the next quarter, adding to the player's scores or the team scores, um, keeping track of the ball, uh, what happens if you go into overtime, handling whether the home team or away team wins, um, setting the state of the game. So, are we tossing the coin? Do we have a dead ball? Are the ends switching? Is the game over? Are we in halftime? Kickoff, overtime? Is the game paused? And then, are we playing? Does the possession switch? Timeout, touchdown, and then just have an unknown for any other things that might happen. Like if a state ever becomes unknown, then um, that can be used as information to debug a problem. Um, so basically, the interface for the game mode is going to keep track of what state the game is in, keep track of the current down we're on, the current quarter, where the ball is, and then you'll be able to get that information out of the interface to any different blueprint that's in the game. And again, this prevents circular inclusion and just makes it so that we can have a expandable game rather than hard coding things. Because basically, if we have this game mode and this game mode and this game mode, so like minigame 1 game mode, minigame 2 game mode, minigame 3 game mode, if those were all their own separate things, and we didn't have an interface to tie those all together, uh, you would have to hard code in blueprints where you cared about what the game mode was and what state we're in and stuff like that. You would have to uh, cast to all of these individual game modes, and it's basically more. That would be an extremely messy way to do things. It just makes things confusing down the line, and you just end up having a bunch of casts when you don't even need that. With this, you just have the one interface, and that's all you ever really need, because this will give you any information you need, give you any access to any functions that you may need to call, stuff like that. So, uh, yeah, it makes things way simpler than trying to hard code things, and it makes the game expandable. Um, and eventually down the road, if say we wanted to possibly make it so that the players, um, the owners of the game, if we wanted to allow them to make their own game modes or whatever, then they would be able to do this. Yeah. So, uh, and then it would just tie into everything else, and you wouldn't have to worry about coding any extra stuff. Basically, this is just a way to um, streamline things when we're adding in the future. So you have one centralized place for things, and then to get information from or to uh, call events in or whatever, and then it just gets passed down to the derived game modes. Um, so that was what I did in C++ for the game mode setup, just setting up the interface. And then when we come into the blueprint side of things, um, I did several things actually. Um, on top of setting up the interface for modes and setting up the minigame 1 game mode, I made this end zone. I made a blueprint for the end zone. So that blueprint is essentially this. It has the mesh for the end zone. It has the bounding volume for um, uh, for when the player crosses the threshold, they scored a touchdown. Or if a player gets tackled in it, um, if a player gets tackled in their own end zone, then you get those points as well. That logic hasn't been programmed in yet, though it would be a simple addition. Um, and then this actually, I set this up so that it interfaces with the uh, game mode interface that I have. So in the end zone blueprint that I have, let's see, let's open you up. So in here, I when the player overlaps with it, I just cast to. I check to see if it's a base player here by casting to the base player blueprint. Um, I check to see if he has the ball. Though actually first I check to see um, if he can even make a touchdown in this end zone. So the end zone has a variable in it to determine whether um, the player to determine what team essentially can make score a touchdown in this end zone, and you'll be able to toggle this in the game for when the ends switch, and then you'll have like I guess your logo switch or whatever on that logic. So basically, I check to see if they can score in this end zone. Then, if they can score in the end zone potentially, and they have the ball, then I cast to my game mode interface. Well, I get the game mode. I cast to my interface. Then with my interface, once I have my interface, I go and I check to see if is this the home team or is this the away team's end zone. Then if it's the home team, I add with my game mode. I add to the home score, and then I set the home score on the HUD, and then I do the same for away if it's the away team, and then I set it on the HUD as well. That's another thing. I actually tied into the game HUD that we have. Yeah, I tied into the game HUD, and that's done on the player controller. So in the player controller, so it's not in any specific player because if you put this in a player, all players will create the game HUD. So in the player controller, since it's owned by the player controller anyways, I create the game HUD widget, and then I add it to the viewport. And then anytime I want to do anything with the game HUD, I just get the player controller, and then I set the stuff. Which actually, in the game HUD, I added functions to set the score, and this is how I'm displaying the score for the for the teams. Um, and then I also, let's see, I also, I made the minigame 1 game mode for, of course, since that was the task in of itself was to make that game mode. Um, what this game mode does is basically you it if you ever set the game mode to game over, then um, it will handle the game over. And with this particular game mode, when you set it to game over, it checks to see if the away team's score is anything other than zero. If it's anything other than zero, you lose essentially because the offense scored on you, and you didn't actually stop them from rushing. Um, if you do stop them and they have no score, then you win. Um, and then I just have like a little uh, slowdown effect happen, and then it'll restart the level. Um, yeah. So, uh, and then also every frame it's checking the away score, and if they ever score in any frame, it will set the game mode to game over. And then if you want to, um, when you tackle the player with the ball, you'll call you'll get the game mode, and then you'll just call set current state to game over, and it will handle that for you. It will end the game, and you'll win. And that's the game mode. So what else do we have here? I believe that's all I did for the game mode stuff on the blueprint side. Um, so I'll just demonstrate the player winning or the offense winning real quick. So I just gave myself the ball. I'm going to this end zone is assigned to the away team. So the offensive players. So as soon as I come in here, it'll slow down, says game over, and it shows the score of 6. So I'll just demonstrate that again real quick. Uh, just if you look at the game HUD, it's the offensive or off. The score there will change. See, now they have 6 and the game resets. Uh, yeah. So if you tackled this guy, you would win the game as well. Uh, I don't have a way to demonstrate that at the moment, but um, it is the logic is there for that to happen. So I believe that's it for this video. So, and actually, I believe that's it for all of the uh, all 3 weeks. So this is the last video for the 3 weeks. I'll make another one for my 4th week once I complete that task. So until then, I guess stay tuned.